welcome back to Monday Morning Detective, the podcast. I am your host, Gino Scala, and this is episode 43. And today we're going to discuss the Lori Vallow trial and ultimate verdict. Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell are perhaps two of the most despicable people ever to walk this earth. That's my opinion. When you look at it, there is very little difference between Lori Vallow and Charles Manson. Now, Charles Manson is often looked upon as the worst person who ever lived, up there with Hitler, obviously. What it comes down to is that Charles Manson never actually killed anyone with his own hands. And that's the case of Lori Vallow as well. As evidence has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt regarding her recent conviction for the murders of her own daughter, her own adopted son, and the wife of her new husband. That was a conspiracy. Yet there are several more bodies yet to be unearthed and charges pending. One including her own husband. Or I guess he was estranged. I don't think they were quite divorced yet, but I could be wrong there. And she had a hand in each and every one of these homicides. So we should stop looking at awful people and killers as if they were Jack the Ripper running around the street killing people. Because there are people like Lori Vallow, and I refuse. She has a famous moniker given to her by the press. Doomsday Mom. And I hesitate saying mom because today is Mother's Day. And she is as far from a mother, other than being one half of a bigger word, mother effer. She is as far from an actual mother as a human can get. Giving birth to someone doesn't make you a mother. A mother is someone who loves, cares for, protects their offspring. She did anything but. All the specials have been on TV, on Netflix, on Hulu, etc. So you're free to go out there and watch, all of it and gather as much information as you need to. But this woman is the epitome of evil. Some of you may recall that movie with Charlize Theron winning the Oscar for Monster, where she played Eileen Wuornos. Eileen Wuornos was a serial killer. But she was killing Johns. She was a prostitute. She was killing clients who, according to her, were violent towards her. So in essence, she claimed self-defense. And she has since been executed. This woman, Lori Vallow, and her weak-chinned milquetoast of a husband, Chad Daybell, are two monsters. And I won't get into the details of what they did to their children, or her children, Tylee and JJ being autistic and special needs. But my issue with this entire investigation was I think it could have been tied up and potentially having the kids, preventing the kids from being murdered. And let me explain that. The first run-in that they had with the police was out in Gilbert, Arizona, I believe, or somewhere in Arizona. And Lori Vallow's brother, Alex Jones, or Alex, I think it's Jones, shot and killed Lori Vallow's then estranged husband, Charles Vallow. And the story was that Mr. Vallow took a bat from his daughter's hands, swung and hit Alex in the back of the head. Alex went into the bedroom, retrieved the gun, shot him twice in the chest. That was the story. Both Tylee, she was 15, I think, at the time, Lori, and Alex told roughly the same story. Now, we have body cam of this incident immediately after. And there's a lot of things wrong with this story. First of all, if you watch the body cam, you can see Lori's actions and reactions. She should have been taken in and grilled. Not just questioned lightly, like she was, but absolutely grilled. Alex should have been treated much more as a murder suspect than a self-defense witness, regardless of the story. A gun was in his hand, he shot a man dead, and then they tell the story after the fact. This was not done. If you watch the interview, both of them were treated with kid gloves. Even knowing that Mr. Vallow called the police and spoke with them, also on body cam video, a week prior, indicating that his wife, he feels his wife is out to kill him. And he explained all of her religious beliefs at this point, which involve zombies and having a dark side, and I'm not going to get into it. It's just bizarre behavior. So they have this information going into it. He ends up dead, as he suspected he would be. And these two adults are treated like victims. And the injury to the back of Alex's head, supposedly caused by a full swing of a metal baseball bat. There was blood. There was a slight cut. It's not an indication of a full-on swing from a strong adult male into the back of the head of someone. You do that, you're going to fracture their skull, knock them out. I mean, that's why people use bats in a fight, to do just that. Fracture the skull, potentially kill them, which happens often, and then knock them out. Not a small cut, not a little trickle of blood that ran down the back of his head. He was sitting in the interview room, being fully interviewed with this injury. It wasn't fixed. It wasn't looked upon by the fire department or the EMTs. Nobody put a bandage on it. Nobody even cleaned it up. How does this happen? How does a guy lay dead when you know this story beforehand, and then ultimately, within a few days, discover that one of the bullets entered his body as he laid dead on the ground? It came out the back, and it was found on the ground. So that doesn't correspond with his story. Additionally, when he called the police after the shooting, they said the 911 asked them, 911 I should say, asked them, when did this happen? He said a couple of minutes ago. And it happened an hour and 43 minutes earlier. During that time, he spoke to Lori on the phone, and all sorts of things were going on for an hour and almost 2 hours. That, to me, that demanded that they be locked up. You charge them with conspiracy to murder, and if it, you have the basic elements of the crime, what their story is immaterial. That's their defense. You're the investigating officers. You're the investigating police department. You know he was shot once on the ground. You know that he had called in and asked for police help a week prior, feeling threatened, saying specifically that he feels like his wife is out to kill him. And then you find out that the stories, while they match from the three people who are supposedly witnesses, happened 2 hours prior to the event, prior to the police getting there. So they had plenty of time to stage the crime and discuss this situation. Now, clearly, they probably lawyered up right away, so they wouldn't have been held very long unless a judge held them with no bail, no bond, and they didn't have the money. But these... so, anyway, that is where, in my opinion, where it went wrong from the beginning. Then they do the investigation and they find out that her new boyfriend has a questionable death in his background as well. Up until I'm going to fast forward because the police did an excellent job with Tammy Daybell's death and charging Lori and Chad with the conspiracy to kill her, because that's probably, even though Lori has been convicted of that, which probably means Chad will be as well if he doesn't plead out. But they eventually got to the bodies of the children. Now, this is the times that we saw Lori and Chad in Hawaii getting married, dancing on the beach, laying out by the pool, walking through the airport, and constantly being, well, I shouldn't say constantly, but several times they were approached by journalists or just people with a video camera, because they were well known at this point. And they smiled and they, no comment and all that, and that smugness. Why weren't they taken into custody then? Based on, going back to Charles Vallow. Why didn't that anger them? The fact that they were doing all of this. while the police were actively looking for the missing children. She said the children were somewhere, the children were not there. At that point, you arrest these two people. Hell, I don't even care if you let Chad go. You arrest her for parental negligence, child neglect. She cannot produce the children. She refused to produce the children. Refuse all you want. You're sitting in jail. We are charging you with child neglect until we find these children healthy and happy. And why that didn't happen pisses the shit out of me. All right? Really makes me angry. Whoever made that decision really screwed up. As it turns out, the children were dead all along. We had video of them emptying their house of everything the kids owned and putting it into storage. Once that video hit the news, they went back and took it out. They were playing games. These kids were dead. And I don't want to tell you how they were found or the suffering that they went through. Now, everybody wants to blame Alex, Lori's brother, as the killer. Maybe he was. It's awfully convenient that he died a natural death at the age of 51. I don't believe for a second that's true. I believe he's dead. I don't believe it's natural. I believe it's suicide. Or maybe Lori or Chad did him in. But the bottom line is this. Those children were missing for months, and the police knew it and did nothing to Lori Vallow, getting her into custody, charging her with neglect, charging her with kidnapping, charging her with murder without a body, and force their hand. They had enough evidence to do this. Meanwhile, they had been in Hawaii for weeks. They sold property. They moved to Chandler, Arizona. They moved to Red Bucks or something, Renbucks, Idaho or Iowa. They were living all in all of these places, playing games, playing house, living the life of Riley without children, without exes, without any issues. These sons of bitches, they lived several lives. They had more fun during this period of time, while most of America and all of the police department were looking, praying, and loving these children. It angers me beyond belief. So that's my takeaway from this investigation. And with that, I'm going to close episode 43 of the Monday Morning Detective podcast. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there and mothers that have passed. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.